Okay, apparently we are live. Alrighty. We're going to double check all our channels to make sure we are live, but we are in fact broadcasting. Let's just make sure. If you want to check Twitter and see if it's showing up under mine. Alright, hello folks. We are officially starting. We are in the first ever inaugural Virtual Design Master Hackathon. The live stream is beginning. This is going to be kind of a fun stream as we go through the day, so make sure you jump on and keep track. We're going to keep lighting the stream up as we go. We're just making sure we're getting all our technical bits in order here to make sure that life is working as expected. And then once we know that that's going, we're going to kick it up. We're going to bring in some of our guests here. Okay, let me just.
We're live.
We are live.
We're live, Eric.
Okay. I'm just going to make sure that we are live on the Virtual Design Master site. So, live.
We are live on Digital Posse Twitter. We're live.
Okay. Yeah.
We are live, Eric.
Excellent. Okay. So this is a very, very cool experiment because we are. Let me just go up on Twitter. I'm going to make sure we let people know. I don't have to be as like high production on this, hopefully, because. Okay, that's the fun part. Now, I know all these like YouTube streamers and gaming streamers feel all the time, just like talking and typing. We're beginning the live, Virtual Design Master Hackathon, and broadcasting as much as we can on Periscope and live at IO/live. What's I gotta remember my own live channel on YouTube. Now the fun part. Then we're going to bring in Joe. Joe's going to be helping us out here, which is super cool. We got a couple of folks on the channel. Oh, look at that. I see. This is cool. So this is going to be a little bit of a crazy next little while here. We are broadcasting this in chunks from a live event. This is the first ever Virtual Design Master live hackathon. It's going to be our first test. We wanted to start off and see how does this format work. Is it going to be effective? Are people going to be able to jump on, be a part of it? Really, our big goal for the last little while has been, what can we do to make sure that we are making hackathons more inclusive for folks who are not maybe as likely to jump in just because they haven't necessarily had the experience. If you're just catching us and getting started now, my name is Eric Wright. I am the co-creator of Virtual Design Master. I'm here with Angelo Luciani, my other partner in crime. Also co-creator, community leader, and a ton of stuff. Angelo, of course, where do we find you online, other than right here, right now?
Yeah, and just to your point earlier about the gamers and how they sort of play the game, chat with comments, and just get all involved. I don't know how they do it. There's two of us, and we're still trying to figure out all this live broadcast here, broadcast there. But yeah, cool. So you can find me on Twitter at Angelo Luciani and blog at virtuwise.com.
Now this one's going to be interesting. We're actually a totally new tech underlay that's driving this one. So if anybody's keen on it, we've done the Virtual Design Master Season 6 has been run with Zoom. We've been using Zoom Webinar in order to share stuff out. The real goal of Season 6 was to kind of spur people towards embracing some of the new capabilities that they could find in themselves, right? Every year it's about creating these really cool designs, really testing our design and systems thinking. So we're going to take this even further and take it to a practical experience, and this is going to be done kind of a hackathon format. We are doing this because we wanted to try and see ourselves, like, are we able to just be able to lead this as a community, and this is the first time we can test it out, and then from here, ultimately, we can do this in shorter form. So we are powered right now by Ecamm, so ECAMM Live, which is a really slick platform. Angelo turned me onto this one very recently. How did you end up even actually discovering it?
Yeah, so I use Ecamm's recorder, Skype recorder for podcast recording, and then did an update on the software. Browsed the site quickly and noticed that they had a new offering out, so thought this would be a great opportunity for us to try it out.
We've tried literally every platform under the sun. We started off with Google Hangouts. Then they changed. We had limitations that we found in Hangouts that drove us to go towards. We debated on going the WebEx route or the GoToWebinar route, and then Zoom happened upon us, and that worked out. That was a great platform. We could push straight to YouTube. So the way that this stack right now is working is that we are using Skype video in order to pull in that video stream into Ecamm Live, and then Ecamm Live is pushing to Restream, which is so it's restream.io. There's a few different platforms that do this. This is the idea that you can actually push to multiple streams simultaneously. So this is actually restreaming as a target, and it's going to YouTube, Periscope, and I'm on Twitch.tv as well. So why not? I'll light up a Twitch stream. I don't know that it's going to be easy to embrace and add more channels to this, but it was fun. So the cool thing is that it actually just grabs all your stuff and pulls it together.
And we'll make some news here, Eric. I don't know if you saw on Twitter a few days back or a week back, famous streamer on Twitch, Ninja, moved to Mixer.
That's right.
Guess what, folks? We're moving to Mixer.
Apparently, we got to start moving already. We're already on the old platform. This is brand new to us.
We're already... Yeah. So we're moving to Mixer, everyone. We're moving to Mixer.
This is the fun part about this one. It's like we wanted to do this, and it's going to be super informal. As you can see, I'm literally like we're sitting in chairs. This is not the highly produced thing that we're used to driving. Not that we were like super high production, anyways. But the goal was really like how do we make it so that we can have fun, we can get people involved. Now the fun part here, I'm actually going to literally go in here. I'm going to try and bring in our special guest here. And let's see if we can add him to the call. We'll see how that works because I'm not sure. We'll see. This is really distracting too because I'm actually like watching myself in my own screen, which is kind of weird when you're in Skype. Yeah, so this, we've got... the goal here is that we're running a hackathon. We're doing it across 24 hours. It doesn't mean we're going to be like, burning Red Bull at both ends and going crazy the whole route here. But the cool thing is we've got folks that are going to jump in, jump out, and Angelo and I are going to effectively like lead everybody through the experience of what it's like to lead a hackathon team. I think I heard a voice in the background. Do we have our very own special guest star, Joe Hughes, on the call?
I am here. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Howdy, Angela.
It's this is going to be fun. So I got to give a big thanks and a shout out to. So if you guys don't already know Joe Hughes, goodness gracious, Joe, this is what's bad. My wife is so good; she knows everybody's Twitter handle off by heart. Joe, where do we find you online? Let's highlight your blog, your Twitter, and everything, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff that you've done and how you happened upon us here.
So mostly you can find me on Twitter. I'm at jhughes, JHOUGHES, and you'll find my blog, which I don't update at all, at fullstackgeek.net. That's a project to get back to this year.
So the irony is you've probably got the best forward-thinking URL in like history. You could probably own SEO for full stack through and through. I've been lucky enough to watch your progression through stuff that you've contributed through the community. You've been involved in VMugs. You get involved with V Brown Bag. First of all, you're just a generally awesome human. You're a great technologist. You're really, really good at telling your story. I even remember, goodness, what was it? Was it Boston VMug? I think where you actually, or where it was somewhere, anyways, where you had just given your first live VMug session or something, and I was like, yes, like this is the kind of thing that we need to see more of. So we need more Joe.
Oh, it was
Joe's
passing in the halls at VMon.
VMon, that's what it was. That was yeah. So it's what I love is that when we see folks that are able to jump in and contribute in any way, and you do a ton to give back. So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
And Joe, just very quickly, what's behind you? Is that like a ton of sci-fi books, or what is that?
Some sci-fi, some fantasy, a little bit of
nice,
goofy military stuff. So a little bit of everything.
So, the weird thing I'm trying to figure out, we're actually not seeing your. This is what happens when you're building the plane as you fly it. Is I don't see Joe's video on my video screen here.
Yours just finally popped up.
I see Joe.
Weird.
And you.
Oh boy.
Does Joe have NDI enabled on Skype?
Oh, it might be. Oh, look at that! I didn't realize that. We got to tell everybody about this one. Oh boy, there's so many things. So many things.
Yeah. I don't know what NDI. I don't recall what NDI stands for, but there's a setting in Skype. You can do it on the fly, I think. Where is it? I don't recall. But
this is what happens when you do stuff completely live.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
So you go to preferences. I think it's audio video. Let's see here. No. Or audio video. Nope. Calling.
Advanced NDI usage. Okay. I think I found it.
Yeah, I think you got to enable that.
Yeah, I don't think I've used Skype in quite a few years.
Yeah, rightly so.
It's one of those. Skype is one of those things that just sneaks up on you, where you don't use it for a while, and then out of the blue, somebody will say, "Hey, let's connect on Skype," and you'll have to remember your password and get back on it.
Oh, there we go. Is that any better?
I see you. Yep.
Alrighty.
I still see him.
This is very weird. This is what happens when we're trying to figure it out as we go. I see me. I see just a blue Skype. Right. See, even if you see the live stream, all we see is this like exciting Skype logo going on here. So weird. All right. Well,
I'm sure it'll come through in a minute or two.
Funky. All right, cool. Well, anyway, so the fun that we wanted to kick up here is we wanted to say, like, what is it we can do where we know we can bring folks together. We wanted to try and see if we can do. Look at that! Oh, there we go. Now we're actually seeing. I can see the comments coming through. I see. Oh, look at that. Yeah, Joe is not on this live stream feed. This is a lot. We need producers. We got to hire producers. Hello, Mr. Val from Brazil, and Mr. Michael K. Thank you, Michael, for letting us know. Yeah, this is really interesting. The cool thing is it's got this neat like switcher feature, and yeah, it's I got two. Where are we? We'll figure it out. We got
to try and get the DI up again.
Could be my Skype that's the problem. It's just entirely possible. That's funny. I like the the chat integration with Periscope is pretty cool. So yes, don't worry, Val. We will not tell your boss where you're at. If anybody asks, this is a recording, and you're just watching it in the background. It's cool.
This was recorded several weeks ago. Several weeks ago, this was recorded. I think it's still snowing outside, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Let me just double check here.
I think it's I've got like active speaker turned on. Yeah, this will be. Periscope's pretty neat. I've always thought about it. So the cool thing, this is a preview for what we're going to do at VMworld. This is actually what we've set up so that at VMworld we're, as the announcement comes on this coming Monday, I believe, which is what the Twitter feed told us, that we're going to be jumping on to do ourselves a nice team at VMworld. So last year I was lucky enough to be able to jump in, be a part of it. I've got a company event going on at exactly the same time, so I'm trying to make sure that I can free up, make sure my team is sorted out, and then be able to jump over and be a part of the hackathon. Either way, Angelo or I will be jumping on in one way or another. So. Anyways, about Joe, while we get Joe sorted out for video and goodness, and again, he's probably doing all the right things, I'm probably doing the wrong stuff, just because I'm the broadcaster here. I reached out to folks who said, like, hey, who wants to be able to jump in and be a part? And Joe is just one of those good humans who said, all right, I'm in. I was the V Brown Bag was going on, and I can't remember which one it was. So how long have you actually been doing V Brown Bag stuff, Joe?
I just finished my third one.
Okay, cool. So you're like a veteran now. Yeah. You're officially part of the team. You're going to start getting a paycheck, and by paycheck meaning community love.
Yes.
And we have to, of course, this is where a lot of the stuff comes from. I got to obviously shout out to the OG streamers who, we aren't Twitchers, we aren't YouTubers, we are V Brown Baggers at heart. We come from, trained by the best, which is Cody Bunch, Alistair, who has been doing stuff. So he's the one that got us kind of rolling on the idea that, hey, you could just share the stuff out and for free, and people will actually get behind it, which is cool, pretty cool.
So thanks to the IT crowd, two things can happen here. Either Joe disconnects and reconnects, since he's enabled NDI.
Okay.
Or Eric, you disconnect the call and we all reconnect with you. So maybe we'll try Joe disconnecting. It says here once NDI is activated, you need to restart a Skype call.
Okay. Let me drop and jump back in then.
All right.
Okay.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We'll see what goes here. The weird thing is I keep losing the multi-camera thing here, but. It's very confusing when you've got a window behind a window. I'm going to minimize my Skype because it's visually distracting. How do these YouTube gamers do this stuff? This is really hard.
That's why we're going to Mixer.
That's right, exactly. This is nuts. This is nuts.
We're joining Ninja on Mixer, everyone. So. What I read is, although you enable it, you need to Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens here.
Okay, I see my video in the corner now. So
This is,
hopefully it's coming across.
I still see this blue screen. I don't
Let's
get
see
this.
here. Let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
This tells you this is exactly how every hackathon starts. Is trying to figure out, you got to reboot, you got to get set up. This is why building a startup is nothing to do with the product itself. Half the battle is just trying to get all your bloody IT stuff working. I wonder what's going on here.
It's all right. We'll work through it.
That's right. We have the power to do this. I want the.
We've done triple bypasses before without instructions.
Exactly. I wonder if I go to where's the fun part is like now I've got to go and actually go to like my own stream just to see what it looks like because I don't trust what it looks like. Am I streaming from my live stream? Do we have a team in the Hackathon at VMworld? Yes, Michael, we do. I have now. While they haven't announced the whole deal yet. I'm just going to shut this off inevitably. There we go. Yeah. There's going to be a live team right at the event. I've set myself up as a team lead. We will be team virtual design master. I'm pulling some ideas together for that one. So yeah, if anybody's keen to join, as soon as we get stuff going there, we will make sure that we let everybody know.
So Eric, I guess the last obvious attempt here is to have you disconnect us all and have us rejoin the call.
Oh boy, this is faith. Well, technically, I think my thing is going to keep going, so the stream won't drop. It should just drop the call. Theoretically. Now we'll see if that's actually the case. All right, let me try this. I'm gonna.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid using the term reboot.
Yeah, this is why. Alrighty. And MTTR really means mean time to reboot. So that's actually what it should stand for. So, alrighty, I'm gonna hit a finish. There's a big blue finish button here. That may or may not do something. It may or may not kill us all. Let's see how it goes. I'll try this again. Oh no, cancel. No, I don't want to finish. No, that was definitely not the right button to hit. That was definitely. That's yeah. Do you see the red wire? Okay, yeah, I'm cutting red. No, don't cut the red wire. Okay, Skype. Oh, that's why. Okay. Let's try this. Okay, I'm gonna hang up the call. We're gonna try it again. Hang tight. This is crazy. This is crazy. There's Joe. All right, now we got everything going on. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now we got no Angelo.
Oh no! Can you hear me?
I can. Now all I see is blue.
Okay, don't worry. Hold on.
This eCam thing says you can have up to 5. Okay, there we go. Now we got it. So I'm.
There, I see Joe on the live stream now.
Okay.
Hey, all right.
So that was our first hackathon challenge. Done in the books.
I want to have it so I can actually have like all of us on the same time. Select all cameras.
But this is good. Good.
I wonder, am I seeing...
There's,
Do you see a window inside a window? So you see like the 3 of us? This is very confusing. Welcome to YouTube.
Yeah, I see the 3 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see, there you go. I see you have the 3 of us on the live stream now, Eric. Or you have the 3 of us over top of me, I think.
Yeah, see, that's the trick. This eCam thing is crazy. It worked at the start, and now it won't. Now I can't get it to.
I don't know if you see this, Eric, but there's a gallery button underneath where it says VDM Team Bus 1.
Yeah.
It says 3 people in the call, and there's a gallery button. I don't know if what that does. Okay, that's not. No, don't use that.
Yeah, I think it's only shared media.
Yeah. what's this button here?
I guess technically, if I do
Call
this active speaker, then whoever's theoretically who's talking should show up, but that's not actually working.
view.
This is what before we've had to do this, where it's like, hold on a second, we have to like live do our own production. This is crazy.
Speaker view. Grid view. There's a grid view. If you go to the top, where I assume you see, who do you see at the top?
No. See, now here's the fun part. You're seeing Skype. I'm seeing it. I have a different set of controls inside Ecamm itself.
Right. Okay. All right.
Show scenes window.
Good. Good stuff. Well, at least we have the everyone's video.
Yeah. Well, we're going pieces. We'll figure it out.
See here.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you to. We got to give a big shout out to Al, who he's joining us as well as an observer. Look at that. Okay, so I can do screen switching. I can actually bring stuff on. We're going to get a whole lot of Joe right now because that's all I can get on the screen here.
Okay, let me read this. Let me read this 2-sentence. Each guest will appear separately in your video source switcher at the bottom of Ecamm's live main window. Shift, click, or use the plus buttons in the switcher to select multiple sources, and Ecamm will automatically create a split screen layout.
Yes. Right. Oh, look at that. It's like old school Charlie's Angels, where like all of a sudden like it splits in, or like an old '70s show. Now we're 3-way split screen. This is awesome. Cool. Oh god, I'm in the center. I don't know how I'm the center square. How did this happen?
if anything, it pays to read the manual.
RTFM.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe, I got to ask you this question because you jumped in, you volunteered, and again, huge thanks for that. Angela and I set aside the time to kind of like do a bunch of stuff. We may or may not like go as long as we can. We're definitely tomorrow morning is going to be the final presentation of what we're actually going to build across this whole thing. Strangely, we actually had a death in the family, and so I've been 100% offline for the last 48 hours, which is probably the key time when I would have done all this organizing instead of live during the first half hour of the hackathon itself. What is your schedule? What's your ability to sort of you actually added yourself and you said that you're going to be able to coach, and I'd asked for that like mentoring and just helping and participating. What do you look forward to here, and what do you think you'll be able to do in participation?
Honestly, I'm just hoping to kind of learn more of the behind the scenes, and what you guys do for organizing a lot of these events, because I know you guys are pretty good at driving community engagement as well as just interactive teams. So a lot of this for me is just trying to see kind of behind the curtain, and all the stuff you guys actually do, and learn a little bit more of the skills of trying to get these things organized. Because trying to pick up more involvement with the local VMUG, one of the things we're wanting to do is start doing more small hackathons, and maybe do a couple that are a series of building a product and having people involved over the span of a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So trying to get more of an idea of really like what are good things to do, and what's the way to try and encourage folks to do this. So it's always nice to have somebody that will help mentor the mentors, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And we are very much exposing how the sausage is made, and as you can see, the sausage is made by starting with a live pig, and you may be witnessing a bloodletting as we go through this experience. So this was the goal of this was like, can we actually completely switch gears to what we do, and rather than do sort of a big sponsored process, can we actually go back to grassroots? And
right.
we learned, and we are learning that going to grassroots means you're literally going to sod, like, or not even sod, you're going to seed. We knew we were going to start again 100%. We also set the bar rather high for the first one because I set it as kind of a 24-hour period. Primarily because I wanted to say, like, if I'm going to be building this, like the kind of primary builder in what we're doing with this hackathon, I needed to make sure that I can like spend the time and really like kind of learn myself of what are my own capabilities to bring a team forward through this. Okay. So definitely at the VMworld Hackathon, this is what's always funny. So we're doing a 24-hour run, and we have a small set of builders. Like effectively, I'm going to be the bus driver, and Angelo's going to be co-driving the bus. We've got people that are going to jump in here and there. We're doing some stuff through Slack. Doing it in this longer form means we're going to learn what you really need to do in a short period. Because even though this is 24 hours, here we are, right? We're 30 minutes in and we're just figuring it out. This is much of how it goes. We'll probably start the kind of like active planning in about half an hour. In the VMworld Hackathon, it's from 7 until 11 p.m. So people think, okay, great, I've got a 4-hour hackathon. Like, wrong. You have a 2-hour hackathon because the first hour is this. Like, okay, so who's here? What are we going to do? What's our idea? Trying to pitch how it's going to go. Then we actually get to the building process. Some people come in with some ideas in the can and ready to go. And then you have presentations, which if you've got 7 teams, each team gets 8 minutes to present. Well, okay, so you've got 56 minutes of presentations. That would assume there's 0 minutes transitioning between the two, which is not the case. I think we did our last presentation where we actually we were holding the laptop up towards the audience because we couldn't get the HDMI working. So this is how there's a lot of weirdness in doing the tech stack of just getting it going. So I've always kind of pushed that VMUGs are a great spot to be able to do a hackathon. If you're in a half day, it's a tight one. If you're in a full day, you've got a good chance for people to kind of jump in and out. And I think they're starting to do more like push towards, can we make it part of the deal? And at the last Toronto VMUG, we actually had a Raspberry Pi hacking room. And they did presentations throughout the day there, and there's like 2 or 3 people. Literally, you've got 600 people at the event, and you've got 2 or 3 people attending. We are reliving that right now, right? So we have a pretty broad audience, and we're super lucky because we've grown the Virtual Design Master, sort of community. And a lot of people ask us, like, oh, are you doing the big thing? But it's tough. Like over the course of, we've had 35, 40 different people that have participated across the years. We've had 20 different judges. We've had 25 different sponsors. We have been represented in dozens and dozens of countries from around the world. We have given away literally over $10,000 of prizes from what started as me and Angelo's thinking, hey, do you think we can actually get someone to show up? So here we are, do you think we can get someone to show up? And we're starting again. Because we're lunatics and we're gluttons for punishment. So really this is cool, Joe. I hope to, we can use this as an experience, share it with you, and then we can help you kind of keep rebuilding, whatever your next online version of it, or at an actual live event. You've always got us to help you give ideas and help coordinate. That's where the fun is.
Awesome.
So that there's a different kind of set of organizational stacks we're going to do here too. We're going to store information, and we're going to do most of the project tracking with free tools. This is the biggest goal that you want to get. So eCam right now, it's like $12 a month. So this is me broadcasting is going to be the most expensive part of it, hopefully, other than maybe running some AWS instances as we do this. So we're going to use GitHub as a way to actually do project tracking, issue tracking. I'm going to use Google Docs, although I'll say Screen 3 here has decided he's in use tour, use signal mode. So Angelo's tried to very smartly, I make fun of him all the time because all of a sudden he started emailing me from this like this other. Talk about Tuta actually, because I like that what Tuta is about. Because we were super Google involved with a lot of stuff, and all of a sudden you realize like, oh, if this is free, why is it free?
Yeah.
Let's give a shout out to Tuta here, Angelo. You can tell us what made you kind of jump over there.
Yeah, well, you just touched on it. We were using, or I was using, Gmail and Google Docs and everything, and it's like, oh, this is great, it's free, et cetera, and then starting to really think about, hey, these folks are really capturing and using a lot of my data, and I didn't like that anymore. I didn't feel comfortable with that anymore. So I was looking for alternatives, and Tutanota and a few others, Proton Mail and things like that popped up on the radar. And I really like the clean interface, the simplicity of Tutanota. So I sort of switched over to them. I'm not 100% switched over yet, but I'm trying to wean my way off of the Google system, if you will.
So that was neat. I actually, as I was getting ready to invite you to the Google Doc, it's of course saying like, oh, you need a Google account. So I'm actually going to shed that. I'm going to move everything into like Markdown and hang it off of GitHub. So that's the big thing, I think, Joe, and anybody that's looking to start one of these up, is you want to have a place where people can collaborate. We're going to use Skype we can use Skype. We can also, because we're broadcasting, we're going to use Slack because it's free. Being that I came from a ton of open source worlds, I've tried to be involved as much as possible with OpenStack, and still, I'm still team OpenStack, even though everybody else jumped off the bandwagon and got onto Kubernetes, and they left us stackers in the dust. But OpenStack has a very neat fundamental, that's their sort of manifestos, everything open. So they can't use Skype because or they can't use Slack because it's not 100% open. So we are the last of the classic IRC folks, I think, that are hanging on, but it actually works. I'm not all about open. I'm an open core guy. I do appreciate open core, but I also recognize we need to use things that maybe are commercial, and that means that I'm not having to sell my info to do it. And all the stuff that we're doing with any of these events too, it's that's why even VMUG, I find we're very good that the stuff that we do at VMUG as a community is always regarded as like, this is community, this is us sharing information. It's not being then sold back to VMware or to the partners.
Yeah.
It's always an opt-in for those little side things. The main circus tent that keeps it alive is paid for because we tell people, hey, if you visit a booth, you scan your badge, you're obviously you're agreeing to be contacted by a partner. Fair enough. It's got to be done because we got to keep the lights on. So we're low tech, low cost here. It means we don't have to sell anybody's info. The other one is so like the logos you see on the bottom. So the reason why Rapid Matter is something that came up over the last while. About 2 years ago, I think. So Renee Vanden Bedum, who's VCDX133, and big shout out to Renee. He's also a super good human, good friend. He kind of poked out this idea that he wanted to create something called Rapid Matter, and it was the idea of doing enterprise design as a service. So can we do something where we can build a product that would allow us to do enterprise architectures that effectively make VCDX process in software? And so I think about 7 minutes after he tweeted out this thing, I was like, all right, I'm in. and he and I and another friend of his actually started looking at, can we do this as a software stack? And I thought, okay, this is neat, but boy, oh boy, we did exactly what every mistake gets made in enterprise architecture. We immediately went down the road with what platform can we build it with, and let's start actually standing up AWS infrastructure so we can light up the first prototype, and we actually then had to stop and work backwards, say, okay, what are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
How can we build it? we were going into like deep, like in the weeds, like data modeling. On hour 2 of the discussion, we were doing a UML data model. So I was like, wait a second, we're doing all the wrong things here. This is no way that this is ever going to get off the ground. But Renee really has a good way of like just putting 100% focus on it. So he said, okay, I'm committing money, I'm committing time. Are we collectively as a group going to be able to do this? So we took a run at it for a little while, and then we realized that it's without that sort of like strong commitment from all of us to do it, and the skill set to be able to build it out, we realized we lacked the developer. So I was like, okay, wait a second. If we have this problem, then what do we do to actually kind of shake this up and build it again? But the other thing that I found through our communities is always like mentoring is one of the most powerful ways that people get access to both skills and also people. And so I had an idea of can I take this rapid matter concept, and instead of creating designs, first of all, can I learn how to best match people up? And if I can use this as a way to actually connect people so that I can match people who are good mentoring candidates with mentors, then can we actually do something that will, through the process of connecting software to people, then I can actually connect people to people. And this is actually what we're going to be hacking on. I'm going to take this idea and we're going to start live building an algorithmic way to connect people. And the result of this is we're going to have a sort of haphazard version of what I've been prototyping for a little while. And then if we can figure out algorithms, we can figure out how to handle the logistics of that stuff, then can I take that same kind of matching capability, and when I'm doing requirements gathering for enterprise design, I'm going to say like, oh, okay, I want high resiliency. Okay, cool. So, and I'm comfortable with Ruby, or I'm comfortable with Python. So immediately you start to say, okay, what are the frameworks that would work if you want resiliency and you're comfortable with Python? So, can I use software to take this database of information and collect it together? So we're going to learn about algorithms, and this may or may not go well. So that when we get to the very short form version at the VMworld Hackathon, I can take what we're going to learn over the next 24 hours, and can we actually compress that down into 2 hours and teach people how to build an actual algorithmically backed platform, do it really quickly, and then from there maybe build it out even further. So it'll be interesting. Now, Joe, you're a full stack geek. What's your development stack, and what's your comfort level? I'm just curious. So it's always good for us to sort of lay bare what we believe that we all can contribute when we do development hackathons.
Oh yeah, so I'm actually full stack geek. To me, in an old school way, it's the infrastructure stack. So I'm still a hardware guy at heart, trying to span into the software space. But honestly, I kind of cut my teeth being, Windows admin who grew up to be the VMware admin who started moving into automation, but just with PowerShell. So I'm now trying to catch up on Python, JavaScript, and hopefully learn a little bit of Ruby along the way.
Ah, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the fun part as we get into like requirements gathering and what do you want to design. So I've learned the hard way that your comfort in a language is probably the best way to get rolling. Then at some point you're going to have to make a decision beyond prototyping to like, oh, is this actually going to be scalable and whatever. But I think for most people that are in the shallow end of the pool, use whatever you're comfortable with. Like you said, like I did Ruby because I supported a Ruby on Rails support team or development team for years at one of the organizations I was at. And so, nice. And the funny thing was before that I was doing .NET development, but not as like, and it not in, like I'm not a developer by any stretch of the imagination. I was doing like haphazard code, but and I had to support developers who were doing all sorts of .NET. So what I did was I said, okay, I need to learn what they do. If I know what they do, then I can be empathetic to their pains, and I can also provide better infrastructure stacks below it to service their needs. And so in order to do this, I said, okay, well, I need a project. I can't just go and like learn how to do .NET programming as a programmer, because my brain does not work like a programmer. I'm not the kind of guy that can sit down and said, we're going to learn about variables and types and this, and like when someone says strongly typed language, I mean, like, I think it means thrashing at the keyboard. Like, I literally to this day, I had no idea what strongly typed even means, and I never want to know, because that's like, I think if I try to learn it, I'll just get frustrated. But I do know how to like copy paste code and get it to do what I need to do. So what I needed to do was learn to support that team. So I took a problem I had, which was I needed an inventory system to keep track of file shares, because we were doing chargeback. So the way we would do this was we said we had a funny money chargeback system, and I needed to be able to say, if I know the business owner and I know what the file usage is, how do I actually then go and link those two things up? So I said, well, I'm running all Windows file shares, so it's easy enough to gather stuff through VB script. So I was doing these VB script exports in order to get content out, so I could figure out how to convert it from megabytes to gigabytes. Then I took another system that was a chargeback system, which was built in .NET, and so I was able to connect to its database and export the chargeback database. And then I would literally just glue this stuff together in temporary files and then post it up on a website. So I would run these batch processes every night that would export the two things, glue them together in files, and then people could go to a website and check the current state. And then every month they would get an email saying, you're about to get charged this amount, just so you know, and here's your summary of your file serving. And it was kind of a way to name and shame people, to say like, hey, just in case you wonder why your IT stuff costs a lot of money, because you have 19 terabytes of like Excel documents, so don't complain why your IT costs money. And so when I moved over to a new company, all of a sudden I said, well, are we doing anything around chargeback and whatnot? And they said no. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I've got this system that I built, and let's put it in place. And then all of a sudden, here we've got to support Ruby on Rails developers. And so I said, okay, let me convert and rebuild this whole system, like, because I'm an idiot. I'm going to rebuild the whole thing in Ruby on Rails so I can learn how Ruby on Rails works. And so that's how I started doing it. And I realized that .NET sucks. It's really hard to do. But, so now, years later, I couldn't code .NET if I tried. I'd have to go back and start from scratch and relearn, and even Ruby on Rails or Python, anything like that. I don't know how to do it as a continuous exercise. So going into these things and saying, can I learn how to do it? Can I lead a team and then learn from the team? And that's really what it is. Like, all I need to be is like faster than somebody else so I can help them. Not so it makes me look good. I don't care about that. I want someone else to say like, oh wow, this is neat. And then at the end of it, maybe they take it further so that I can then hang on their knowledge and learning and do it that way. So
yeah, I mean, and that was what we tried to do for our hackathon team at VMworld last year. You even commented that we were the team that basically said we were all just hoping to learn something and have fun. Our project failed fantastically. We had issues connecting to the environment that we were trying to run everything from, but everybody had fun. I think we ended up having a good Plex Ops conversation there at the table.
Yeah.
So it became more of a community building, and everybody at least learned a handful of new things, even just through the troubleshooting, trying to get that working. And everybody said like, oh man, I can totally go back and do this in my environment, and like I can improve my life at home or at work by doing a couple of things. And to me, that's the benefit of it. I want people to have fun. I want people to learn. I think people are going to be more successful even trying on their automation or orchestration or journey to full-on DevOps if they have something that's clearly defined that they want to do. If they just try and automate their own job to just make that kind of be on cruise control, they're going to be much more successful than just, I'm going to pick up a book and I'm going to learn abstract ideas. They have to make it something that's functional and something that can actually link back to their own knowledge.
Yeah,
you nailed it there.
The
right?
benefit, Yeah, sorry, Eric. And the benefit of that, while in a hackathon, you're also teaching others, so you get that added reinforcement of the learning of the topics, etc. when you're teaching someone else.
Yeah.
So that's a great point.
Well, and I really like the hackathon style just for the fact that it's everybody sitting at a table, or at most it's a couple of people that are getting up and walking around to actually show people and walk them through something that's on a shared screen. It's a lot better than even having a presenter at the front of the room who's talking to a set of slides, because that's very, I don't, it's less teamwork and it's a little bit more adversarial, or it's everybody being stuck in the student teacher mentality where they think, I hear watching this presentation and the student, I have nothing to provide to this conversation, and it's not an interaction, it's just somebody talking at them. Whereas the hackathon, everybody is there to collaborate, to learn, to work together. So it's a lot easier for people to ask questions or provide input, because it's definitely a back and forth. It's not the standard presentation style.
Yeah, and that's what's when I watch people present code, it's always like I feel bad because sometimes I have to do it. And when you're giving a presentation, you're like, oh, this is a demo, and let me just jump in, and all of a sudden you're, like you're in this screen, and all you see is this like black background screen, and people are typing, and if you're not 100% in on what's going on, you just glaze
You're
over
lost.
immediately, and there's no way to keep up. So you always end up in that tough spot, like you said, the collaborative nature of just like going around the table. And we had the team that I built for that one. I purposefully said, we are like the Bad News Bears. We are just a glued together bunch of people that have no idea what we're doing. I think even when I had my invite, I said, if you have no idea what you're doing, welcome to the team. Like, I didn't want anybody that had more knowledge than the next person, other than the fact that we were going to figure some stuff out the hard way. And we did. And the funny thing is, at the end of it, everybody was contributing, and everybody was like doing something. We were building the presentation, and we had a blast. Like you said, that's all I wanted to have at the end of it, was a group of people that knew each other better than they did at the start, and had some level of knowledge that they walked away from, and some level of inspiration to try it again, or to take this offline and say, like, okay, when I go home, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna figure out how to do a thing, right? So it's, especially services. So this is the one thing, the algorithm that we're going to use. I'm actually going to use a product called Algorithmia, and because I think, like, when we look and we try and say, I'm gonna do data science, you start suddenly have to learn R, and you've got to learn Python and do all this crazy stuff. Like, well, I don't want to get into that. I'm not a math major, so what I can do is then I go over, and there's this product called Algorithmia. It's a website, and they provide services, and it's pre-built algorithms and machine learning. So, and it's free for a certain number of requests per month. So you can actually go in, try it out. It's kind of like the AWS Deep Racer idea. Like, take a thing that somebody else built, just learn how to train this model, and then can we do it? And they've got like live ways that you can test it inside the website. Like, that's the stuff that matters, like free code camp, things like that. They're neat because you can go in, plug in your own stuff. Yay, you but going from hello world to building an algorithm, that's like going from I learned how what interest means on a loan to I understand collateralized debt obligations and derivatives. Like, it's an exponential leap in knowledge required, and most of us will never get there. So I wanted to find a service we could use that at least gets you to the point where you can try it out.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You have to make it easy. You have to make the amount of initial investment small for people to just get started and try it out.
Yeah.
Because they might realize that's something they don't like, but they found something along the way that piqued their interest, and they just kind of pivot and go that direction.
Yeah, and so I think we're gonna try something. So my goal. So here's my pitch, if I could say that. So every hackathon has to start with what the idea is. So my idea is that I want to test out, is there a way that I can, using an algorithm, that I can better match people based on criteria that they've set, and it's personal criteria. So, because I've learned through community mentoring and doing this stuff for a number of years now, that the most profound way that you generate value in a mentoring relationship is not by the knowledge base the person has who's the mentor, but by the personal connection that the mentee has with the mentor. And the best way that we find to connect people up is by other things. And I call it the other things. It's literally the other thing is more important than the thing. And it's almost always something like, I'm into cycling. Do you like photography? Are you into like home stereos? Are you into cars? Do you like bikes? Oh, okay. Do you like what people like motorcycles? Do you like are you into Harleys, or are you into speed bikes? Right? Are you into choppers? Are you into whatever? Like, it's a very. Are you into home build? Like, are you a guy that watches OCC, or are you somebody that wants to go to a dealership and have one that's out of the gate? So it's, as you go through these kind of personality quizzes, and you build this criteria set, and then you match that stuff up. That's what you do. Like, we're lucky that as a group we meet each other all the time. Like, we meet other people like ourselves because we've gone to an event. We're at a VMUG, we're at an OpenStack Summit, we're at VMworld, we're at AWS reInvent. You're in a captive audience. So when you meet somebody and you have a connection with them, it's less luck than what you're experiencing when you have no idea. So if I'm coming to a website because the website says that they can connect me with a person, I have none of that baseline. So how do I get people to the baseline of familiarity so that I can then match them up with somebody else who they've never met before? And they won't meet by happenstance because they won't be at that sort of captive audience event. So what I want to try and do is, through a couple of different kind of personality quizzes, can we take like 5 criteria and then learn how to match them up? And then can we take 10 criteria and then slowly just like figure out, like, how do we take stuff that's data, put it in a format that works to then match it algorithmically, and then at the end, can I build a web application that can collect this information and then in the background then go and do a matching and then say, hey, person A, we believe you'll be a great match with person X. And then from that point, then we can then connect them together through whatever means. So my hope through the next, many hours is going to be to hack together something where we know what data format something needs to be in. Let's figure out how we can fill that data format, and it may or may not produce a working product at the end, but I want to be able to learn, what are the requirements to be able to feed a system, what languages will work in order to stand it up, and at the end, can we have something so that I can take this ultimately, and when now I go into the VM worlds, can I hackathon again? A hackathon doesn't always need to be a ground up thing. It can be like, can I iterate on something here's something that we've got working. So my hackathon is, I want to be able to then connect it to an existing social media network. And can I integrate it into a chat, something like that? So that's my pitch, and since we've got a good amount of time ahead of us, we may be able to get something done.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's going to be a great side benefit for me just to take some of this even conversation that's going on around it and incorporate this, because the 12-minute V Brown Bag session that I'm doing at VMworld is how to be a great mentor and mentee.
Yeah.
So that'll be good to take some of this stuff that people don't ever think of outside of just the technology or the thing they're trying to get done, and they're thinking that entire relationship's got to be built on just that one thing, not everything between the mentor and the mentee.
Yeah.
That's right. Now what I'm going to do is let me flip over and GG. Now, So what's showing on screen? And I'm not sure. Do you guys see in? Oh, and I gotta let me see if in Skype I might have to share my screen. Can I do this? Oh boy, this is gonna be.
There we go.
Yeah, this is gonna be super fun. I'm gonna have like a super Inception going on here. The one thing I love about Skype is nope. Don't love anything about Skype. The one thing I find interesting about Skype is that it's trying to find the screen share button. It's like trying to find the Ark of the Covenant in that warehouse. Every time I go to look, I can't find it. Audio and video settings.
So on the live stream, you're sharing.
You're seeing me sharing my screen, which is me now looking at Skype. So this is
right. Yeah, a live stream. Yeah.
Yeah, because in order for me to share the screen with you guys, you either have to watch on delay, which is not going to work too well. Where's my screen share? Wait a minute, isn't there like a button at the bottom? Aha! Okay.
Yeah, there should be a button with 2 squares.
That's what it is. Sorry, I didn't have the share screen. Oh man, this is really going to be some like crazy Inception stuff. I'm going to be creating. Yeah. I can only imagine what Ecamm is seeing. It's probably seeing like things inside things. Alrighty.
So
now we should be seeing the team bus one of. You're seeing my Safari screen.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. On Skype. Yeah.
Yeah, and are you watching the live stream as well, Angelo?
Yes.
Yeah, and
so I see your GitHub
okay,
on
cool.
the live stream.
Yeah.
Right.
The hard part is I've got all these like overlay windows, and you never know like which stuff shows up in in the overlay. Okay, so I wonder if I. Alrighty, so if I don't have, okay, so in Ecamm now the live stream should still be showing the same thing. That's my hypothesis. Okay.
Yes, I'm seeing the same screen.
Okay,
both.
cool. Because I just had to switch. I was like screen sharing in one and not the other. It's alrighty. So this is the quick like rapid fire lesson on how to use GitHub as kind of a collaborative tool. So I've already set up a project. Oh yeah, sorry kids, we're Canadian, so I'm going to say project instead of project, and that may drive people nuts eventually. If you listen to my podcast, you probably hear those Canadianisms come out all the time. So what I did was under the Virtual Design Master handle, I created a new repository called Hackathon Team Bus One. I'll give you the background on that in a few minutes, actually, and then you'll get a sense of how these things work. So what I did, I created my basic repo. I had a basic license. I've used the MIT license because for whatever reason I found that people kind of lean towards it because there's potential that some of the stuff from in here may actually end up in a product. And so I do want to have some weird sort of level of making sure that I can kind of slightly tighten controls on how it's like collaborated with. I honestly, we got to do a whole lesson on just open source licensing itself because it's understanding GPL, AGPL, Apache, who knows. So the code itself is going to be here, so the one thing that people maybe when you're just learning how to use GitHub, you don't necessarily think about using things like issue trackers. So I use the issue tracker as a way to say, like, can I actually do backlog management? So we're going to do like we're going to build user stories in general, but then ultimately these become things that we need to do as a backlog. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is say, track. Requirements, and so I'm going to create literally the thing. I'm going to create a tracking document, and we're going to use it in Markdown for editing what we are building. And so what I can do is I can then create this as an issue. So if I go into issues, the cool thing is you can do this, and then from that point then I can look at the people that are attached to it, and then I can assign that to me. I can call it whether it's a bug, feature, etc. I can then assign it to a project. So if I'm really looking to track how things go, then I can go and I'm going to create a project at the same time. Now they've got a few like kind of canned ones, and we're going to call this Hackathon Tracker. My template I'm going to use is, so we can set it as like basic Kanban, so you actually just like move stuff around. We can do it automatically so that the stuff that goes into, when it becomes set up as an issue, that it moves in. And then if you're really in the deep end of the pool, you can actually do it as automated with reviews, which we are not going to do because we're not quite that far along. So I'm going to set mine as automated Kanban. This is how we track the hackathon planning. The cool thing is, if you're learning this for the first time, I encourage people to go into GitHub and just like try this out. It has like little checklists that basically, if you follow these checklists, it means that you're going to kind of figure out how it works. I'm going to cut these down because I'm going to actually get rid of these. So I'm going to move them over because I'm saying that they're actually done. And if you want to, you can actually go and you can edit your columns, you can take your issues, you can manage them. So I'm actually going to just delete that one. But ultimately, like, this is cool, so that you can literally just drag it around. So if you're used to using Trello or LeanKit or any way where you're managing tasks, it's a nice way to kind of get a sense of the flow of things. And then at the end, you can go and you can archive them out if you wanted to track kind of where things are going. So here, I'm going to say track requirements. So now I've got a to-do list. So if I go in and I go to my issues, let's just see if this actually works. Okay, add. I'm going to add collaborators. So I'm going to make sure everyone has access. Repository. Oops. This is why it happens when you go live. It'd be a lot easier. Now I know why these people just got misspelled there. Perfect. Perfect. And then I'm going to, let's label it. We're going to call it a, basically you can track it. So we're going to say it's an enhancement, good first issue. This is kind of neat if you're looking to create an open source project. We got people that are like getting started. You can call it a good, like, hey, this is good first issue to handle if you know how to do it. Like, cool. We're going to call this an enhancement. I'm going to assign it to myself because it's a nice little click button. Let's go over to the project and see what happened here. It didn't automatically add it. I don't even know how to use this thing. That's crazy. That. Man, see what happens. This is why you got to figure this stuff out. And manage automation. Okay. Move issues here when newly added. Yes, or reopened. Some deal. Maybe because I added it myself. Good times. Alrighty, well, when in doubt, add cards. And whammo. So that's it. So you can literally just go over, you can say add your cards. So now what's cool is you've effectively got a way to do projects like task tracking. You can measure flow, you can do a lot of different things. If you really dig in, you can check out kind of like who's active in it. So it's a good way to just do general product and project management as you're building stuff. And then the other thing that's handy is then you can build your own wiki right in here. So if you want to keep track of documentation, then you can do it right inside. So we'll probably hack on that as we go. Now, this is the fun part. When you've got your hackathon team, you immediately want to delegate out. Say, okay, who's good at documentation, who's good at code, who's good at presentations, who's good at marketing. So we're going to kind of split it up. So between the folks that are involved, we're going to kind of share the tasks. Let me just go. I'm going to double check my repo settings. Collaborators. I've got a few folks. So. Okay, so let's make sure who we got on Team Bus 1. Man. Collaborators. When in doubt. There's Mr. Joe Hughes. Okay, we've got Mr. Ala Rashid is going to come on later on, so I'm going to pre-add him. So now it means anybody that's a collaborator here, we can ultimately give them the ability that they can have a whatever level they want, so they can actually do either. This is kind of neat. They have this new thing called maintainer, so you can say like I can do code, but they can't do top level administration. Because we're kind of really open-ended, I want to just give everybody like full access for the period of the next day, and then we'll hack around.
Now, Eric, just quickly, is this available for on the free side of GitHub, or is this a paid feature at GitHub?
This is 100% free. Yeah. So this is you get this. The only thing, in fact, I'm doing it as an open project, because in order to do private repositories, you have a limit of, I think, 2 repositories or 3 repositories. Yeah, as a free as a free owner. I actually pay for GitHub myself because I do a lot of like I've got like 3 or 4 projects on the go all the time, and each of them has a couple of different repositories. So I needed a bunch of private repositories. So I actually pay like $10 a month or whatever it's going to be.
They've changed it. They've changed it now. It's unlimited public and private, but it's only 3 contributors on the privates.
Right. Okay, cool. So that was the hook. Okay, cool. So the good thing is, like, if you think about being able to do stuff like this, like we can use free software. I wanted to try and centralize it because I thought, well, should I use LeanKit to do task management and then think about managing issues? Like, I don't want to glue all that stuff together. And in fact, they just announced that GitHub is going to do like CI/CD. They've got other things that are involved in there. This is a neat little feature here. Security alerts. I actually got one of these security alerts in a repository that I had because I had accidentally committed an API key for a webhook that I had in Slack, and so it just went and it goes and it removes all the references to it, and it basically it kills all the commits that had it, and it says, hey, just so you know, this looks like an API key. Do you want to undo what we did? So if you're like, oh no, it's okay, but this is the big thing, is you got to be super careful that when we look at the code, number one, first thing you do, create your git ignore. And you want to make sure that you get rid of core things that you accidentally may commit, and often it's like .key, .sh, certain stuff like that. So when you're doing collaborative work, it's probably good that you make sure you've got kind of a leader on the code management. We're not even going to do like pull requests or anything super crazy for the most part, because we're all administrators. We can try and just coordinate contributions. If you're a bunch of developers, that stuff makes sense. Like just okay, submit a pull request. Like, well, we're probably pulling people in who've just barely learned how to use GitHub. I don't know that I want to go to that level of capability. So that's it. So this is how we're going to track things. I'm going to build up the quick requirements doc. the funny thing is, I actually have to jump off. I have to take a call shortly. We're going to jump back on. We're going to stream kind of throughout the day. Again, so what I'll do is I'll invite the Skype group. Joe, whenever you can or can't, definitely jump in. Stay in tune. We're going to keep track of stuff. So here's the other thing. We're going to use we're using the chat inside Rapid Matter. So I've got this is another thing too, for word to the wise. If you create a channel in Slack and you make it a private channel, you can never make it public again. And I went digging around, so I created a private channel, and I was like, neat, because I thought just in case we have to exchange some kind of proprietary information or URLs that we don't want public, then we can do it this way. Then I thought, and at the end, we can go and we can scrub the messages we don't want public, and then I can turn the whole thing on and share it publicly. So it turns out you can't do that. That's a limitation in Skype or in Slack, and they say it's because they want to protect people from themselves, where they may think something is private, then all of a sudden they turn the channel public, and they didn't realize. So there's a few different things that we're going to see. I'm going to try and build web hooks, do a couple of different things along the way. So kind of the next thing is I'm going to take a quick call, jump back on here, and we're going to start building out the requirements document, and it's going to be all shared through GitHub. So it's going to be an adventure. And at the end, we're going to see what we can actually, pool together as kind of usable content to clip off for everybody else. Let me see if I can get back to the regular. Aha! All right, there's the three-way screen. So this is going to be an adventure, and then hopefully we learn through this what it means to have people jump in and out, which is way more coordination. And then when we get to the actual VMworld Hackathon, then we know exactly what we're facing, so that we're out of the gate. We'll have, here's the pre-work that we're going to do. Here's the other hackathon tip for people. If you go to a hackathon, don't go there empty-handed. Go there with an idea or two, and if you're going to be a team leader, we like to say that everything happens at the hackathon, but it actually, for the most part, you can set a lot of stuff up in advance, like set up your GitHub, set up all those things. When I did the hackathon last year, I had stuff already built, but what I did at the hackathon to help teach the team was I didn't use that version. We built it from ground up. So I set up the database, set up the code, did the initial push, did a bunch of those things. And then if we got stuck, I could always go over to the working version and say okay, here's where it works. And we can kind of fast forward if we need to. So that's, as we look at doing these things, so, that's great for you, Joe, as you think at a VMUG, how much do I want to show and how much do you want people to learn versus how much do you have to fast forward? Because otherwise what will happen is you may spend an hour showing people how to use GitHub, and all of a sudden I got a conflict, how do I manage so you're spending 40 minutes just trying to figure out how to do conflict management. You really want to okay, let's fast forward, let's go over to the working repo. And so there's things that you need to kind of have in the can. I call it the Martha Stewart pre-baked oven, where they put the raw turkey in the top, and then they go in the bottom one and pull out the cooked turkey, and then show you how to dress it.
That's just what I was thinking. Is you're gonna have that TV Magic Kitchen. So,
yeah. So there's going to be a lot of Magic Kitchen in what it is. So that's how this stuff. Just like anybody, when they say they started a startup from I sat down in a coffee shop and I had this crazy idea. Well, no, they had that idea for a month and a half, and then they met somebody else in a coffee shop to share the idea. So we love the story of I just had this idea that I had in even Virtual Design Master. I'd love to say that Angela and I just sat down at a basketball game and collectively came up with this idea. But I had this dumb idea in my head for weeks, and I was so I'm going to share it now, and then. That's when we built it, but the idea has always got to be there, because you want to do some critical thinking on it long before you get to the start line, because you don't want to think like, running a marathon would be a neat idea as you're at the start line of the Boston Marathon. You want to think maybe 4 months in advance, like, you think I could run a marathon with no training? Well, maybe I should try do a little running and see how it goes, so that when you now are at the start line saying, I've never run a marathon before and I decided today that I'm going to try it. The hero story is that man with no previous, history at a marathon finishes marathon in 6 hours. The real story is that you didn't train super hard, but you did, do it. There's always stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So and that's it. Through the course of this, we're going to be 100% transparent on how really this is gnarly. There's a lot of ums and ahs. There's a lot of craziness, but it'll be fun. All right, so gents, with that, I'm going to jump off. We'll jump on shortly. We'll share through the Skype group, and then as we add more folks, they can get involved in the Skype group. We'll do the same thing through Slack. Jump on for what you can, collaborate however you can, and I think what I'll probably do is at 11 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to go right in and build the requirements, and then we're going to start kind of going through products that may do it, and try and take requirements and then match them up to technology, and we're going to see how that process works. Again, we're going slow because I've got time. I wanted to do this a little slow. It's probably not even going to be usable video in the end, because people are like, you're not going to watch it for 5 hours, but we will know that because so this is the fun part, we're going to live stream the VMworld Hackathon, whether they know it or not, right? I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but we are 100%. We're just going to bring a webcam, and we're going to sit down and we're going to live stream the whole hackathon experience. So it's going to be pretty crazy. So it'll be fun. So I'm going to jump off for a little bit. Thanks, guys, for jumping on. We are Virtual Design Master live, and we'll be. The good thing is, if you go to virtualdesignmaster.io/live, that persistent link is always there. Same with my YouTube channel. So every time we light up the restream, it always goes to that production one, and then you know where it's at. So welcome aboard.
Nice.
All right, guys. We'll see you in a bit.
I will see you in a bit shortly.
Okay. Bye.